I don't know, it's kind of an ick, honestly. Or like girls who do 20-part TikToks about like their boyfriend who cheated on them. Like, girl, that's not an original story. Welcome to The Good Stuff, a podcast brought to you by The Good Word Co. This is your host, Caitlin Piggott. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Good Stuff, a podcast for anyone going through anything. This is your host, Caitlin Piggott, and it is New Year's Eve. 2025 is a wrap. I have a coffee, as always. So for this episode, I'm going to do something kind of similar to what I did on my 30th birthday, which is where I talked about like 30 life lessons I had learned, or just like random facts or like things that I personally knew to be true. And I'm going to take a similar approach and to do 25 things I learned this year. So things that were like just relevant to the year 2025 for me. You guys seem to like when I did this for my birthday, so I thought it'd be fun to do a similar thing for New Year's Eve, as we're all like reflecting on our year and thinking about how we're going to make 2026 better, or what we're going to keep the same that worked well for us, whatever it might be. I feel like obviously it's a time we all look back on our year, kind of do an evaluation of our current situation. And so I wanted to hop in on that as well and tell you guys 25 things I've learned in 2025. So I'm going to just hop right into this list. I wrote this list in like kind of I wrote it pretty quickly. I was feeling inspired the other night and I wrote it. And I thought about like organizing it by kind of theme like I did for my birthday. But then I was like, you know what? No, like it's sort of grouped like in like order of my year. I had a few things that came to me right away, and then I went through my photo albums and I looked at like my favorited photos to kind of remind myself what happened this year and see if anything in particular came to mind after looking at that. And so it's like somewhat in order of my year, not really, but anyway, these are going to be at random-ish. Yeah, so there's not really a rhyme or reason to this. Some of them kind of build off each other. Some of them don't. We're going to be going on a whole adventure today with this episode. So I hope you're excited, because I am too. I really like this format as well. And so I think it'll be fun to just kind of like get into some of the random thoughts I have about things I've learned this year. Okay. 25 things I've learned in 2025. Number one, it is okay to change your mind. I think almost especially as we get older, or at least I have felt this way, like it feels like, okay, you've made a decision, like whether it's the kind of job that you want to have, or the person that you're with, or where you live, or all these things that feel like if you've made a statement in the sense that you've made a decision, like it's a sign of weakness or something to go back on that and change your mind. And it's just not. And like to kind of add on to that, like people aren't thinking about you as hard as you think they are in a negative way. And maybe some people are, like maybe you have people in your life who like get excited when something bad happens, and okay, they're losers. Like most normal people, like they don't care if you change your mind. They don't care if you end the relationship or move or start a new career. Like everyone is so focused on their own lives. Like it doesn't matter. And if changing your mind makes you happy, like go for it. Okay. Don't obviously throw like a marriage away or something like that. I'm not giving you that advice. Like, unless it's the healthiest thing to do, whatever. I don't need to have all these caveats, but like, it's okay to change your mind just because you're like me. I'm 30. Like I'm allowed to change my mind in certain things. Like if you're 50, same thing. Like most things aren't that serious, and it's okay to change your mind. Number two, your friendships are very important. And now this feels like maybe obvious, And it kind of is, but it's also, I don't know, I also feel like the older I get, the more I realize like the people around you have such an impact on the kind of person you are, the habits you have, like just who you are as a human. You're so easily influenced by people around you. Like I feel that way. There's like things like phrases that my friends and I say that I'm like, oh my God, that originated with so-and-so. Like we've all adopted and picked up. And so it's just really important to have good people around you. Like I think I talked about this in my birthday episode, or maybe after my birthday, I forget, around that time, about how like I was so touched at the people who, I think it was my episode on friendship, which was right after my birthday. Go give that a listen. It's actually a really good episode. I really enjoyed that one. I recorded that episode in my hotel room at a horse show at like 7 a.m. And I honestly wasn't feeling my best. Not in a sick way, in a way of like, I had a nightcap at an hour that was like probably not good for being up at 7 a.m. to record a podcast. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, I said in that episode, like I felt so much like pride in the humans that were at my birthday, because I was like, these are all such good people and they're here being a friend to me. Like that felt so good. And I hope that all of your friends make you feel that way. Like they make you not only feel celebrated and like accepted and all those things, but also you look at them and you're like in admiration of some sort of, in some quality that they have. And like that they make you better people. I have friends that I admire for their work ethic, for the kind of friend they are, for their positivity, for their like zest for life, all these things. And I think it also takes a mix of those kind of people in your life to like feel like you're balanced. You also need friends who can like bring you down to earth and ground you and like make you remember who you are. And all those things are so important. And it's just the older that you get, the more you realize that, especially someone like me. I'm, not married. And I think as people grow up, a lot of people find that in a partner. And I like look forward to that one day too, of course. But right now, those are like the closest people to me. And so it's just really important who your friends are, because also as we get older, just more life happens, more scary things, more real things, more like, I don't know. It just matters who's around you. And so take that seriously. Number 3, this is one of the biggest ones I learned this year, and one that I think a lot of people will resonate with, and maybe some people just need to hear. But number 3, you can't have a village without being a villager. Now, I don't want to get like too, whatever, it's the good stuff. We can get into it. I think being this age is really interesting because you have like, I have friends in all stages of life. Like I have friends who, there we go, are like me and not married and single and like building their life on their own. I have friends who are newly married. I have friends who are in serious relationships. I have friends who have children. Like there's really a wide array, and it's a very unique place to be. And there's corners in the internet that are toxic in both realms, right? There's people like me who are 30 and single and live alone who are like, all of my friends with like kids and husbands and or wives or whatever, like should, celebrate the fact that like I bought a new laptop. Okay. No, that's ridiculous. And then there's corners of like the internet of like moms and stuff who will be like, I can't leave the house or like do anything like anymore because like I have a kid. And there's just a happy medium. I just know that there is like, I have healthy friendship and where there's a medium. But I like feel like this phrase kind of has like become a little bit more widely used, this idea of like to have a village, you need to be a villager. And that goes both ways. I think in being in my position, there are often times where you are making more obvious sacrifices. And I'm going to explain that in the sense that like, maybe I am the one who's like driving further to a location or having lunch at a restaurant I don't want to eat at because it has like, it's kid friendly or something, or in order to see my friends who have kids. And maybe the sacrifices, and like, this isn't because I don't love those children, but like maybe there's a sacrifice in the sense of like the kids there. And like, we could, we used to go to different places and not worry about that. And like, and again, that doesn't mean I don't love those children, but there are times where, yeah, of course, I'd rather just like hang out with my friend, and that's not always an option. And so you make a sacrifice because you care about that human. But I think there are ways, being in my position, I can only speak to my position, right? And I'm not like I'm not trying to say it's harder for me or easier for me or whatever. I'm just all I can speak to is where I am. But I think that there's ways where people in different situations can like make maybe less obvious sacrifices, can like, answer your text or like call you on their drive to work or something. Like, yes, that's not like, and those, I think just the knowledge that like each party is trying and stretching a little, I think that's what people mean. I think that's what the corners of the internet mean. Like either spectrum, that end of the spectrum that I spoke about earlier. Like, I think people just want to see that you're trying, right? And I think it's more obvious, like I said, in the example of like my friend going to dinner with my friend and their kid. And like, I don't want to go to whatever, I don't know, the restaurant that I want to go to a nice steakhouse. Well, that's not going to work because they don't have a babysitter. So we have to go somewhere that is more friendly for a child. Okay, great. I wanted steak. I'm going to now eat pasta. That's okay. Like it's more important to me that I get to see those people. And again, I love that child, so it's fine. There's that. But then there's also, and in that situation, I could put my foot down and say, no, I don't want to go have dinner unless we can go to the steakhouse. So let's reschedule when you guys can get a babysitter. That's an option. Okay. That's not really how I choose to operate, but that's fine. Some people can, and like, whatever. But then there's also, I just think there's, I don't have to expect that they're going to find a brand new babysitter to watch their kid for the first time that they've never met, or like, call their parents, and then their parents have to cancel their dinner reservations to watch their kids so we can go to the steakhouse. Like, that doesn't need to be the expectation. But like, again, if there was something I wanted to talk about that's not appropriate to talk about in front of a kid, like if I went on a first date with a guy and I just want to talk about that, and that's like not what I want to speak about in front of their like 5-year-old, then that person, my friend, could, again, like, call me on their drive to work one day for 10 minutes so we could talk about that. And that's going to make me feel seen. And so I think to wrap that all up, like, you can't have a village without being a villager. It doesn't mean that every villager has to be like doing metaphorical, like backbreaking work, right? It's just be part of the ecosystem. You can't, because it's like, and I'm going to be more willing to say, okay, let's go somewhere else because you don't have a babysitter for Johnny, if my friend is the type of friend who I know is going to call me tomorrow morning on their way to work. And I think it doesn't have to be, I think there's different seasons of life where the sacrifices look different and one person's putting in more visible effort than the other, but it's still important that like you feel like the other person's trying. So anyway, I think, again, like normal people don't like think about your life all that often. I don't think normal friends like me, I understand that there's a different, I don't know, I've never experienced it, but I can understand and see that there is a huge value and importance and significance of like having a child, and the fact that little human becomes the most important thing to your friend. I'm not like blind to that. Therefore, I see that in this season of life, yeah, I'm going to need to just like be fine with the kid-friendly restaurants. And that's something you just have to come to terms with. Like, you can't ask your friend to not be a mom anymore, like turn that part of themselves off. No, that's ridiculous. But you are still allowed to like want to feel that like reciprocal friendship. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But like at the same time, right? Like, it's nice when like friends that are like, I have friends who are moms and stuff who will like ask me about my business. Cause like, to me, that's a really important thing. And like, or different like hobbies I have or whatever, like that's the most important thing in my life in that capacity. And so like, it's nice when they also recognize that. Anyway, all I'm saying is like, you have to give to get, but I think normal people with healthy friendship and healthy boundaries and healthy like understandings of just life see that there's different seasons for different levels of sacrifice and work. And that's okay. You just have to communicate about it too. I think that's like solves so many problems. Okay. Moving on. That was a long one, but hopefully a good one. Number 4, do the right thing just because it's the right thing. There's so many times in life where like you, especially with, I think the advent of social media, that you can publicize like the good things that you do, which is great. And I think for the most part, goodness perpetuates goodness. And so if people see you doing good things, it's going to inspire them to do good things. And like the benefit is for the greater good. But I think most times in life, there's not people watching, there's not an audience. And it's just like, just do what's right and what's the sign of being a good human, because like, it's what you should do. And it's going to also like pay you back, like in good karma and probably something also good happening to you. Like I try to live by this in business too, honestly, like not that I have different standards for different clients or something, but like I recognize when there's an opportunity for me to just be a kind, generous person, generous with my time, generous with whatever. Like I see when that opportunity presents itself, and I'm going to do that every time, not because, well, maybe now it's going to sound like it's because I'm talking about it on my podcast, but no, it's just because it's the right thing to do. And I was raised right, and you treat people well, and some people need like different sorts of support at different times. And I think it's just important to be cognizant of that and just be like an aware human being walking this planet with other fellow human beings. Yeah, that's it. Just do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because you're going to get something from it, not because there's an expectation of like some sort of something coming back to you. Just do it because it's what you should do. Okay, number 5, be good with yourself first. And I think that is like relevant to so many things. I think, it's easy to say that in the context of like starting a relationship or even friendship or whatever. Like you need to like yourself. I know I talked about this, I think in my identity episode and some other episodes too. Like you just have to like the person that you are, and you're going to look in the mirror sometimes, and the literal mirror and the hypothetical mirror, and be like, whoa, I don't like the way I'm behaving, or I don't like something about whatever I see. And like, it's okay to change those. Like what was number 1? It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to go through a change. Like, I think it's important to always be evolving. But I just think you're really not going to have like super healthy friendships or family relationships or romantic relationships unless you're like, you like the person that you are, and that you're good with the person that you are, and that you feel confident in that person. And there's so much power in that, because it's like, then you take that version of yourself. I've said this multiple times, I know, across different episodes. Like you take that you with you everywhere you go, every room you walk into, every group of people that you're around, like that's who you are. And I think you should want to like spend time with yourself too. I know I'm very extroverted in the sense that I fill up around others. Very much so. But I have to be aware of the fact that like in times where I'm making plans every single night, Monday through Sunday, like I'm always like going out to dinner. I'm just not home by myself often, or not able to do things by myself, not going on like walks by myself, or if I'm on a walk, I'm always listening to something in my ears. Like I can recognize that I'm like, okay, there's something like rustling inside of me that's just like, I got to get to the bottom of. That's almost a sign to myself of like, I'm clearly like trying to mask something that I need to figure out. And yeah, so you gotta like the person that you are. And so be good with yourself before you just like, I don't know, rely on someone else to make you feel good about yourself, because that's never going to work long term. Okay, number 6, nobody is going to do it for you. Another thing that is obviously can be applied over like so many realms of life, but any sort of positive change or positive thing you want to do, people aren't just going to walk up to your door and knock on it and see if they want and ask if you want $5 billion. Like that's just not going to happen. If there's something that you want for yourself, it's on you. And sure, that can feel like a little overwhelming. I, this year, have really tried to practice making that feel empowering. Like, oh, this is on me. So what all I have to do is like try. Great. So I have to rely on me. Awesome. I'm someone I like because I've done work to make sure that that's true. I'm someone I can rely on. I'm someone that I know will get the job done. I know will be a good person and do the right thing. Like, awesome. Okay, let's do it. Right. And so, but just like, I don't know, maybe that's like too much of like a pumped up way to talk about it, but it's just kind of what I was going back to earlier too, right? We're all so consumed with our own lives. And so you just can't rely on anyone to do things for you that are important to you. And that's not to say like, oh yeah, you can't rely on people. No, just everyone's out here like doing their best for the most part for themselves. And so you need to do the same thing. And that doesn't make them a bad person or a bad friend or a bad colleague or whatever. Like we all have jobs, roles, responsibilities. Do yours. Okay. Number 7, believe in what you are good at. I think I know I've talked about this before on different podcast episodes. Like it can feel weird to like celebrate your strengths and like things that you're good at and be like, here's this thing that I'm really great at, or here's something I've accomplished that I'm really proud of. And I just think we need to get past that. Like you can be excited for yourself and humble at the same time. It's really not that difficult. And I think it's important to recognize your strengths and to advertise those, if you will, and be proud of them and celebrate them and have belief in that and have stock in that and understand that there's legitimate, like monetary and emotional and physical value in that. And you don't have to apologize for it. Like know what you're good at, invest in that, let that take you down the path of all sorts of success that you want. And that again goes for like in business and relationship and all sorts of things, like in friendship as well. I think you can really see it there, right? Like know what you're best at as a friend and then like go all in. Like I'm someone who I think is like pretty good at buying gifts for people. So like I'm going to do that, or I'm going to throw the birthday party or whatever. Like there's different things I'm not so good at. So I'm not going to, like what did I say? Advertise that. Like I'm not going to pretend like that's my strength. I'm going to let other people take that on. But I'm going to know what I'm good at and feel good about that and invest my time and energy there. Number 8, this kind of ties in with the last one. We create most of our own ceilings. And what I mean about that is this is kind of like a professionally focused one, but I know. Wow, don't drink for how many times I say, I think, no, I know. There is room for everyone at the top. Everyone's top also looks different, right? Everyone's measure of success is different. Everyone's pinnacle of success is different. And I think that we oftentimes, we don't allow ourselves to change our minds for what that pinnacle might look like. Therefore, we hit a ceiling and we're like, oh, I can't do anything else. That's not true. You can find a new flagpole at a higher point in the mountain or a lower part in the mountain to aim towards. And I think we just like so often stop ourselves before we've really hit our highest measure because we feel like there's this ceiling. There's not. I mean, sure, like there's only one CEO of Google. Okay, like yes, of course there are instances in like that very literal sense, but maybe you realize that's not your goal, or maybe you want to go be the CEO of Apple instead, right? Like there are just so many opportunities for everyone to have whatever measure of success they want. And, like I talk about that in the sense of this podcast and my other work, right? I have the business that is mainly nonprofit consulting. And there's a ceiling in that in the sense of like, I know that there's a cap on the amount of money I can ask these organizations to charge me for the work I'm doing, right? I can't walk in somewhere and say, pay me $8 million a year to write one story a month for you. Like, that's ridiculous. There is a somewhat of a cap there just in the market, right? Like in the fact I can't price myself out of having jobs, all those things, right? So what did I do? I said, okay, I'm going to find a venture where there is no ceiling. A podcast, there's literally no, I don't think there ever will be like a block at how much you could make if it becomes something that you monetize, because there's countless companies that are going to buy ads. There's opportunities on social media. There's partnerships you can do with different agencies, all these things. Like that was very intentional because I'm like, okay, look, there's this part of my professional life that I will never give up. That is like my heartbeat, doing the work for nonprofits. But there is going to hit a point where like I do cap out, and I'm going to also cap out like creatively and just with like my own time. I'm only one person, right? There is only so many hours in the day and only so much I can charge these people, right? So I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, let's introduce something else to the business. Meet the good stuff. Okay. And so I just take that as an example. Obviously your situation is going to look different, but I don't know. I think there's just so many times we stop before we've really hit our highest point of success because we feel like there's a ceiling that's not there or that we built ourselves. That is made of nothing. You're at the top floor, so it's made of nothing that strong and you could just punch right through it, okay? So again, like just don't get in your own way. That's a fancy way to say don't get in your own way. Number 9, if someone is meant to be in your life, they will be in your life. And if they are out of your life for a season, they will come back. I'm not really going to talk about like the specifics of what I mean by this one in my life and like who I'm thinking of when I wrote that down, but it just like let that be a comforting thing to know. And it's not always romantically. Sometimes it can be, sure, but just the people that are meant to be important to you will remain important to you in significant times. And yeah, that's that. Number 10, don't wait until it's too late to say or to do something. I know I've talked a lot about this year on the podcast, talking about the person in my life who I lost, a really good family friend, basically like my older brother. And I had the opportunity to go to both celebrations of life that were held for him. And both of them were significant, like a significant amount of time after he had passed. I never knew a day of life until the day he passed away without this person. He was we're family. And so obviously that gives me like a unique perspective of him. And it was so like interesting to be at a celebration like that for someone so young. He passed away before he turned 40. And so his friends who came, and I mean, the heartbreak of like seeing his parents and like his parents' friends and his aunts and uncles and people who were significantly older than him, like here in this situation. And, you know, people my age and his siblings and all this stuff, all those kinds of people. There was just such an array of humans, and he was a wonderful human who made people feel so good all the time. And he was really good about that. He was really good about being like up to date and current on what was happening in your life and celebrating anything that was happening. And so people were like sharing those experiences and those moments with him, which was so amazing to hear. And it just made me think, gosh, I hope that all these people like had a chance to say to him what that meant for him. And it made me a lot more present in trying to do that for other people in my life now, right? People that feel like that's like a phrase that, you know, you say like, don't wait until someone's funeral to like say how you feel about them. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like, you know, the one that got away and you never like told them how you really felt. Like maybe that's part of it, but I mean, just in general, like you think so many wonderful things about the wonderful people in your life, like tell those to them. Like you want to hear those things as a person. I think it totally matters. And So again, I don't say that in the like super dramatic, like, oh, like you gotta tell your best friend that you're in love with them. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if that's true, sure, go for that. Careful, but go for it. But more so just like, I don't know, like if you just think that your friend is like a good friend and you're proud of them and like the hard work they've put, just like tell them that. That's okay. Like, yeah, it might feel like, oh, that's weird. Like, no, it's not. Everyone likes to hear nice things. Okay. So just don't wait. And I'm not saying that as like a threat or a fear thing. Just don't. It's not all that, like, life is meant to be fun and full of joy and happiness and good things and gratitude. So like if someone makes you feel one of those feelings or you're proud of something that they did, just tell them that. You don't know what it's going to do for them and for you. Okay, number 11, take and accept help. I think certain personalities have a hard time accepting help and recognizing that they need help. And I mean this in such literal, small ways, big ways, whatever way you want to take that, take it however it feels appropriate to you and in the message you need to get from this. We are wired to live in community and to live like a village where everyone has a different job and all those jobs come together to make a village that runs. We're not meant to be able to do it all by ourselves. We all have different strengths, different things that make us who we are, different abilities, different all sorts of things, okay? And so you're supposed to like need the people around you. And that's okay. And I mean that from like the smallest thing again to really big things, or take that however you want. But we're supposed to help one another. So don't be weird about that. Okay, number 12. This is a Katie original. And it's something I like that just kind of fell out of my mouth this year that I've started to apply to so many things. Okay, so number 12. That person doesn't need to hear or know XYZ thought. Much like you're going to think wonderful things about the people in your life, you're also going to think critical things of them. You're going to think judgmental things about them. You're going to disagree with decisions that they make. And if they don't need to know every time you feel that way. I did this a couple times this year, and I had this done to me a couple of times as well, where I did something and someone, for just the sake of having an opinion, told me they didn't like what I was doing. And I was like, okay, well, I guess now I feel like I have to qualify my decision. Here's why I did that. Not that it really matters. This literally doesn't affect you. Why do you care that I did this thing? You don't have to give an opinion for the sake of having an opinion. If someone asks you, then you need to be welcome and open to the fact that they might have a different perspective than you do. That's a different situation. I also catch myself sometimes being like, I'm just a chatty person. I'm extroverted. It's hard for me. Sometimes I think, oh, someone's like bring this up and I'm just going to chime in with my thought. And I'm like, oh wait, that doesn't matter. They don't need to know that. And same thing goes for like in conflict or in difficult conversations and situations. Like you can think something and just let it stay a thought. And that's not you being dishonest or shady. Nope. You can just have a thought, let it be a thought, and let it go away. It just doesn't need to always be shared. What did I say? And I don't know, I've said this a couple times in different episodes too. Like, you're not going to, like, how did I phrase it? Like, you're not going to, I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but you're just not going to agree with 100% of the things that people around you do. And they're also not going to agree with 100% of the things that you do. Oh, I think I remembered. I said something like, I don't need to know like every thought someone has about me. Like there's things about, especially people who don't like me, that are none of my business. That's what it was. There's things I think about people that are none of their business. And there's things that people think about me that are also none of my business. And so like I said, this person doesn't need to know XYZ thought. Learn that, take it into practice. I promise it will save you difficulties down the road. Okay, number 13. Look at that. We're almost halfway through. It's only been, oh my God, like over 30 minutes. Wow, sorry. This is a long one, guys. Okay, number 13. Let your loyalty be loud. I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again because I think, I messed up my hair. But like, bring back people knowing where you stand with people. Bring back, if there's conflict, knowing who you side with. There is value in that in times. Like, let people know, this is where I'm at. This is the camp I'm in, and I'm in this camp for XYZ reason. Like, because this person is my friend and I care about them and I'm team them. You know, I just think there's power in people knowing. Because then, you know what? You're never going to have the conversation with someone being like, hey, actually don't go there. That's my friend you're talking about. They're not going to talk to you at all because they know that's your friend and that they shouldn't start down that path of talking negatively about that person to you because they know where your loyalty is. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take. I think it kind of is. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm someone who likes to really take 100% stock in certain people and kind of just like ride with their decisions and be like, if that's what you're doing, I support you. Of course, within reason. Let's not have anyone get hurt or mistreated, blah, 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 whatever. But like, I don't know. I think I do this. I think people know where I stand. There's different like things within, you know, friendships, communities, wherever, where there might be some division. Like, people know where I stand and I'm proud of that. Those are my people. That's my deal. You can like that or not like it or whatever, but at least I know I'm not going to have uncomfortable conversations or feel like I'm in a room where I'm hearing someone who I love be spoken about in a way that is not kind. Because I wouldn't be invited to that room, and that's okay. I don't want to be there. So anyway, I think, and I think some people like don't do that because they're like scared about people not liking them. Go ahead. You don't have to like me. That's fine. I like me. I have plenty of friends who like me. I have a loving family. I have all sorts of people. You don't have to like me. That's okay. There's plenty of people who aren't going to. That's fine. I think so long as you're comfortable and proud of the person that you are, that should not bother you. You shouldn't have to feel like you can't be loyal or pick a side. So anyway, let your loyalty be loud. Number 14, a friend to all is a best friend to none. This kind of piggybacks off the last one in the sense where, like, if you feel like you can, and now I don't mean this in like a innocent way of like, I'm friends with everyone. Like, if there's a situation of like division or discomfort or like there's some sort of strain in different groups of people and you and you're friends with everyone, I don't know. That's sketchy to me because you just know that there's uncomfortable things being said about the other parties. At some point, you're going to be in a conversation that makes you uncomfortable. And I would just rather be like, never have run the risk of being invited into that room because those people know I'm not going to want to hear that because I've made it obvious who I'm loyal to. And I think it's hard to, I mean, I just know this, like having many best friends for many years, there are people who I stopped speaking to 20 years ago because my best friend said she was mean to me and she did this thing, XYZ thing, and it was messed up. And I said, all right, we're done with her. And I genuinely have not spoken to them since. And that doesn't bother me. I'm like, yeah, why would I? Okay, you're not cool to my friend. That friend is someone I've decided to take 100% stock in. All right, we don't talk to her anymore. We're in the 3rd grade. She's gone. Like, you know, any of my like best friends, like ex-partners, some of them I was like friends with. They broke up. Bye. Talk to you never. unfollow you on social media. Like, I don't know. And I think that just comes with having truly best friends. I think if you want to have really strong friendship, you have to understand that, like, you just have to show your loyalty to them in difficult situations, like a breakup, like a friendship falling apart, like some sort of controversy, and be like, nope, this is my person. This is who I'm sticking with. This is where my loyalty lies. And that might mean that you lose some people in the process, but you know what? You've shown to that friend that you're going to ride by them. And the next time you see something, they're going to be there for you. And that's one of the many ways that friendship is built. But I think a best friendship, I should say. But I do think that those relationships are deepened in tough times. Again, like some sort of other relationship ending in their life. There's also a million other ways you can be there for them when their grandparent dies or their pet passes away or whatever. There's obviously lots of other difficult things you can help them navigate through, but I just think that's one way to show loyalty. And I don't trust people who are friends with everybody, because I'm like, okay, it kind of falls into the category of like, if they talk to you, they're going to talk about you. Those, in my experience, there's a lot of crossover in those kinds of people. So anyway, sips tea, sips coffee, whatever. Moving on. Number 15, you can't get better without trying. And that's just the truth. You're not going to be really good at something the first time. Look at this podcast. This is episode like 35 or 36. Listen to the first one compared to today. It's almost funny, but you know what? You know why I started it before I felt like it was good? Because I knew I had to put the reps in to get better at it. Look at someone who like lifts weights. The first time you try to do what's this? Bicep curl, you might have to use 5-pound weights. But if you do that consistently for 3 months, now you're doing 15 pounds. And that's only because you strengthen that muscle, literally by trying, by doing it. So you're not going to be good or perfect at something the first time. You just aren't. You got to try. And you might feel cringy for trying. Again, people aren't thinking about you that hard. And if they are, and if they're thinking about you in a negative way, whatever, they're losers. You have to try. I think most normal people, the same normal people who aren't thinking about you all that hard and who understand that in friendship there are different seasons for different people to have to give different sacrifices, are also just gonna be like, good for her, follow or support her, buy you a cookie from your local bakery you just opened, like, and then they're gonna go try something. They're gonna be like, you know what, I've wanted to take up pickleball. Sally just opened that bakery. I'm gonna go buy a pickleball paddle and go teach myself how to do that. And the first time I might hit it over the fence, I might whiff it, but after trying 20 times, I'm going to hit that ball. And like, that is going to have been inspired by the fact that you saw Sally's bakery. So anyway, that was so specific and so random, but go play pickleball and go to your local bakery. Okay. Number 16, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, but it also can be annoying. Like, that is what it is. Like, sure, it's a compliment to be like, oh, that person's doing something that's literally the exact same thing I did. That's great. But it can get to a point where you're like, I don't know, have a unique idea. And I'm saying that as someone who I feel like I've fallen into that trap, or if there's like an influencer or something that I'm like, oh my God, I love everything they have and I buy it all. I'm like, weird, ew, have an independent thought, or a friend that I do that to. But yeah, just try to also be your own human. Like it's more fun that we all look different and act different and have different things that we like. And yeah. So anyway, there you go. Number 17. Wow, this is random. I told you guys some of these were going to be random. Number 17. Did I say 14 or I just read 14? Poor Annie. Okay. Number 17. Cutting my hair changed the way I saw myself. Now, if you've been here for a while, I chopped off like 10 or 11 inches of my hair in July. My hair was very long, like almost down to my hip. And then it, became 10 inches shorter, like somewhere up here. And I didn't realize until I had done that, like how much of my appearance centered around the fact that I had really long hair. I've always been someone who had long hair for the most part. And so I didn't understand what a big part of my identity that was. And I'm not going to lie and say that that's been a super easy transition. I didn't even know how to like style short hair. I don't really, and I don't know, I got a lot of like positive affirmation when I cut my hair. So, but what did I say? You got to be good with yourself first. Doesn't matter what other people think. But I like the way I like the way I look better with long hair. And so I'm looking forward to it growing back out. And I would just like everyone to respect that opinion I have. And yeah, it's been a little bit of an interesting situation to be like, that's not my favorite look. And yeah, other people might think I look better with short hair. I don't really care. I like it better when it's longer. So I'm looking forward to that growing out. And nobody asked, but if you were here, you already knew this. I donated it. So like it went to a good cause. It was for a good reason. I've always wanted to do that. I was very excited about that those two things can be true, that I was very proud to have been able to give that to someone who needs it more than I do. Also, looking forward to it being longer again because yeah, I'm just a long hair girl. And so I'm ready for that to be back. Okay. Number 18, making your relationship to someone else your entire identity is a mistake. Now, I've made this mistake before in the sense that like I've talked about when I've been in relationships, when I've had a boyfriend, I've made my entire identity the fact that I'm their girlfriend. And that ends up just messing up your friendships, your family relationships, your relationship with yourself. That's just not the right thing to do. And so again, although that hasn't happened to me this year, in that like specific way, I've observed some different ones. Like there's this whole like corner of the internet, that another weird corner that's like people who hate their mother-in-laws, which whatever. Okay. They're like, some people are mean and their whole shtick. I mean, there's this girl who has a whole podcast about not liking her mother-in-law. And at some point I'm like, are you just gonna run out of stories about that? And also, I don't know, I'm just not someone who likes to like grow on the negative and like multiply the negative things. I just like to focus, literally my business and my podcast both have the word good in it. I just like to like make the good things more apparent than the bad things. But I don't know. It's kind of an ick, honestly. Or like girls who do 20-part TikToks about like their boyfriend who cheated on them. Like, girl, that's not an original story. Been there too. New Year's Eve is actually kind of a triggering day for me. Those who know. Just kidding. Well, I'm not. There's a funny story there. It's no longer triggering. Two things can be true. I'm speaking to like 12 people right now who actually know why this is funny. Anyway, it's just like, ew. Like, I don't know, be original. Like, you are you, and you shouldn't only put your whole like, I don't know. I feel like I learned this from my parents. Like, I've met a lot of people in this world. I'm biased. The two best people I know, Jim and Allison, 10 out of 10. And they are fantastic parents. When we were young, they were, your job as a parent is different when your kid's 3 than 30. Okay. I can remember being maybe not 3, but whatever, 4, 12, 17, like such engaged, amazing parents, would do anything for their kids, still would. 10 out of 10 parents. Also, 10 out of 10 friends, 10 out of 10 like partners to each other, 10 out of 10 employees. Like I recognized even at a young age that like my parents did other stuff and they were important to other people for different reasons. Like my dad always worked. He was also a baseball coach. Like I understood that when I was 5 and he wasn't home for dinner maybe on Tuesdays, it's because baseball practice ran late at the high school and like those kids needed him. And I knew that, and that was fine. Like I didn't like feel weird about the fact that he was like also a baseball coach. My parents have been on, my dad's a firefighter too, and has been for my whole conscious life. Like I was never mad when he was like, oh, I like gotta go fight a fire. I'd be like, yeah, you gotta go. Like you have the truck that has the water that's gonna put the fire out. Get out of here. Like go. My mom was on the school board for a lot of years. Like that one was a little bit hard. I understand it more now. Being 8, it's hard to tangibly see like what a school board does. That one was just like a lot of like, I don't know. She was on the phone all the time. That's what I remember, which is fine. Great. Amazing. I understood. She also like was a fantastic mom, and I had every need met, and I felt very loved by her and supported, and again, it was modeled for me that like you are multifaceted as a human. And yeah, some of you are not, and you need to work on that. Okay. Number 19. There is a difference between being nice and being kind. It's easier, in my opinion, to be nice. I think lots of people can be nice. I think it's harder to be kind. And I mean this in the sense that like, I think being nice, you categorize as like, oh, they're like friendly and they like, I don't know, like are easy to talk to or whatever. Like they just seem like bubbly and like nice. Okay. I think being kind is very different. I think kindness can sometimes look a little bit more selfless. It can look a little bit more thoughtful. And I kind of see this in the same way that I see like, I think the same people who are friends with everyone are also really nice. And I think that they're not always kind. I don't know, maybe that's like a random reference, but I feel that way. I try to be kind. Yes, nice too, of course. But I put more emphasis on being kind and being thoughtful and being intentional than I do being like, I'm so nice. Anyway, there's a difference. And I think this is just my opinion. This is my podcast, my microphone, my video, my notes. Okay. I think it's more important to be kind. You might think it's more important to be nice. That's fine. Look at us having independent thought. Number 20, honesty should be gentle. And I say that having royally messed that up a few times this year, many times in my life. I think it is, this kind of goes along with like, that person doesn't need to know I feel that way. Just because you think it, just because it's true to you doesn't mean that it has to be shared. And I think that people coat honesty in unwarranted critique and unasked for critique of their decision in their life and what they're doing. I just think real honesty, I think really being honest with someone is being gentle and kind and thoughtful and intentional about what you're saying. Even if it's asked for, even if it's not unwarranted, even if they do say, hey, what do you think about this? And you can say in a nice, in a kind way, you know, that's not what I would do based off of this experience I've had that's similar to what you're walking through. I wouldn't do that. But if that's what you're choosing to do, okay. You don't have to say like, oh, that's so stupid and you're making this decision and also I hate your haircut. Like, you just, I think honesty is more well received when you're gentle about it and when you're thoughtful about it. And that doesn't mean that you can't disagree or again be like, give your opinion. There's an aggressive way to give your opinion and there's a kind way to give your opinion. And I just have learned that more often than not, approaching someone with kindness disarms everybody and makes a solution a lot easier to find and makes everyone a little bit more willing to give where they can. Oh, this is a fun one. Number 21, we're all just big kids. And this is one of the ones that I saw that I like thought of as I was looking through my photos. And I went to a good friend's, family friend's 65th birthday party. And she had a Jackson Browne play, who's like this, like fun, like rock star from back in the day. You know his music. But I was at this party and there was like obviously mainly their peers. My parents were there. There was probably like 75% people over the age of at least like 55, and then 25% of us under the age of 55. And it was so fun. I found myself like standing back. Like I imagine like parents stand like watching their kids play at the trampoline park for like someone's 5th birthday. Watching, I like have all these photos and videos of just these 55, 65, 70-year-olds like having the time of their life, singing, dancing, jumping all up and down. Guys, there was a lot of people there. There was a huge dance floor. They were all in like this tiny little pocket. It felt like it was this big. They took up 25% of the dance floor because they were just couldn't be closer to the stage, and they were so excited. They were like literally jumping, the biggest smiles you've ever seen on their faces, just having the best time. And it was so like that. I've told everyone, I was like, that like was so fun to see. Just not only like, I don't know, like you're never too old to have fun. And like, we all really are just big kids, and we have like childlike tendencies and things that like it's important and fun to tap into. Like some of these people were like, oh yeah, we saw him when we were 19 and we didn't have like a penny to our name and all these things. And we spent our last dollar to see him, where I never got to see him because I never had the money to buy a ticket. And like now, you know, obviously life is different. It just was like one of the most adorable, tender, like awesome things I saw this year. So yeah, we're all just big kids. Okay, number 22. Always try to see the other person's perspective and share your viewpoint with humility. I learned this a lot in like some conflict, not big conflict, but just like, I don't see where you're coming from. You don't see where I'm coming from. And again, like, I think if you approach yours with, I think by approaching your side with humility and with acknowledging, hey, I know that I don't have your perspective. I don't have your vantage point. We have different priorities here. But if you could just like step into my brain for a second, here's how I'm feeling. People react to that so much better than like, you're doing this and that's bad. And that this is why you're doing it, and assuming all these things that are probably not even true. Just try to like put yourself in the other person's shoes. And then once you've done that, say, hey, I understand you might be seeing it this way. And I understand that, again, this is your priority. This is your position in this situation. So you're going about it like this. I'm also have a different perspective, and here's how I'm feeling. And you're probably not trying to make me feel this way, but here's how this action is impacting the way I feel and my emotions. And it's just so much easier to come to some sort of resolution or conflict, or just hear each other out when you're doing that. So yeah. Anyway, number 23, behave how you want to be treated. Like, who says this? Thumper, treat others how you want to be treated. Is that Thumper? I should probably double check that. Mr. Rogers, something like that. Let's see. Oh, it's just a golden rule. Oh, okay. No one has claim to it. Oh, Luke 6:31, treat others just as you would want them to treat you. All right, there we go. I stand corrected. It's in the Bible. There you go. So now you have to listen. I think that, yeah, that one speaks for itself. Like, there's been times where I'm frustrated with someone and I'm like, oh, like, why aren't they doing this? It's like, wait, you're not modeling that behavior. They don't even know that that's something that you want or need. And why would they know that? So sometimes just by doing the right thing and acting a certain way, you will then set the expectation for how people are going to treat and receive you. Number 24, you can't beg someone into caring. I've learned this plenty of times in my life, in relationship and friendship and all sorts of different things. Like, people, we're all just on our own path, and you have to, even sometimes people you really love and care about, you have to watch make a poor decision or make a hurtful decision. And as Mel Robbins says, you have to, at a certain point, let them. There's only so much we can all do when it comes to someone else's life. You can try and try and try, but sometimes there's nothing else that can be done. And you have to recognize when that's the case. And from a loving distance, hope that what I say, number 9, they'll come back. And sometimes that's just the case. You cannot, like I had a friend who got like broken up with a few months ago, and she called me, and I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, and I've been there, right? Like in like younger relationships, being like, oh, like you try and you call and you text. Oh my God, embarrassing. But at a certain point, you have to understand, like, wait, why would I want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me? In a similar way, like people are going to care or they're not, and they can change their minds, and you can give them the space to change their mind, or you cannot. And that's just that. All right. Number 25, we've reached the end of our list, guys. And I actually wrote facts aren't feelings. What I meant was feelings aren't facts. This was a big one I learned this year. Just because you're feeling a certain way, that doesn't mean that's what's happening. Just because you feel left out doesn't mean you're being not included. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you are left out because you weren't invited. But sometimes most of the time, I would say, like, you see that 2 of your friends went out to dinner and you didn't know anything about it. Well, what you don't know is that the one friend's grandma is really sick, and they know that that other person's aunt had the same thing, and they just needed an hour to talk about just that with someone who understands. And you don't understand. So yeah, you didn't get invited to dinner, and that's okay. And you need to get over yourself. I could go on about this one for days. This is one I'm still like actively learning. And I find myself in conversation being like, hey, I know this is just a feeling I'm having and probably not a fact, but it's also important to get to share your feelings. I think feelings are a huge part of any sort of human relationship of any kind. Of professional relationships, personal relationships, romantic relationships. It's important to know that you can share how you're feeling, but you need to present those things by saying, hey, this is a feeling I'm having, and I'm sure it's not true or even what you're meaning to do, but here's how I'm feeling. Or like, hey, here's something I'm feeling and we need to do something to change it. And I just think you have to be confident enough in your relationship and yourself to be able to express those things. But try not to let yourself, this is what I've worked on a lot this year, like spiral into some crazy place that doesn't exist because of a feeling that you're having. First, go check in with that person, check in with that situation and be like, is that really what's happening? Like, I don't know. I've just really come to like that phrase. And I think it helps you in situations kind of like talk yourself down from certain things. And then, yeah, go straight to the source. Figure out what the situation is. And that's just a really good line to use for anyone who's walking through some sort of conflict, to make the other person like feel more receptive to what you have to say. So anyway, there's the 25 things I learned in 2025. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to them. Maybe you learned something new today. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve. I've had some funny ones in the past, as I hinted at earlier, but that's okay. So is life. And no New Year's Eves will ever be better than the ones spent like in college, just like, I don't know, at your friend's house, not drinking, of course. No, that'd be crazy. But yeah, we peaked there. That's a ceiling that is set up in society. You're not going to have New Year's Eves that amount to the ones you did when you were a senior in college, freshly 21 years old and running amok around your hometown. That's your peak New Year's Eve. So if you haven't reached that yet, be sure to spend this New Year's Eve. If you're a senior in college listening to this podcast, hey, I'm so cool. And I hope that's your plan tonight. If you're younger than that, if you're younger than being a senior in college, home for winter break, understand it's very, that TikTok, like, time cast a spell on, that song. Like, it's sometime in your 20s, like, someone's going to say, blah, blah, do this thing. And like, it's very important that you do. I'm the person telling you this. In your 20s, someone's going to tell you that it's very important that your senior year of college, or the equivalent, the first year that you're 21, that New Year's Eve, you have a house party with your best friends. It's very important that you do that you listen to me, because there'll be a great night that you're going to tell for ages. And it's going to be the most fun you ever have on New Year's Eve. It's only downhill from there in terms of New Year's Eves. Trust me. Again, if you know, you know. Okay. Happy New Year. In the words of myself, let's do this thing. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next time. And I'm saying this here because if I don't say it and put it out there, then I don't know, it's not as powerful. 2026 is going to be the year that the good stuff starts to have weekly episodes. And I'm very excited about that. So that's it. Okay. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Good Stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Good Stuff. Your host is me, Caitlin Piggott. Follow The Good Word on Instagram at the.good.word.co. And follow The Good Stuff podcast at the.good.stuff.podcast. To reach out about this podcast, email contact@thegoodwordonline.com. Graphic design work was done by Sugar Pine Design. The photo on my cover art was taken by Bella Claire Photography. And the intro and outro audio was done by David Nolf.